Mentally sketch some lines in the picture that shows sunlight from the sun. Okay, in this picture there is sunlight. Why don't you sketch some rays, how it comes? The answer is, look below. Yes, the sunlight comes from this direction and it has been beautifully represented like this. Okay, so there is a direction light is flooding from, a direction behind you and to the upper left, somewhere here, right? Okay, this arrow shows the sunlight, the rays of the sunlight. Although the picture is two-dimensional, try to think of a 3D scene. So we have to have the length of the arrow, which represents the intensity of the light. The direction of the light and its intensity can be represented as a vector. And the intensity is maybe the length of the line we can use to find out the intensity. Okay, and they are represented as a vector. A vector is a geometrical object that has two properties. What are they? Length
and directions.
Very good.
Light from the sun has two properties, brightness and direction. We are regarding color information. Make the length of the vector proportional to the brightness of the light.
Yes. Now we found the two properties. What are they?
The length and the direction.
Very good. So now we took the length, we correspond this length with
brightness.
Beautiful. And what did we do with the direction of the light to the direction of the sunlight? Okay, there are what is the direction is represented as the arrow mark here. Let us make the length of the vector proportional to the brightness of the light. Shall we draw a bigger line like this? That means intensity is very high. We will make the vector proportional to the brightness of the sunlight. Wind can also be represented as blowing this way. We have a wind direction, okay, this way, east to west, north to east, etc. Okay, so the length of the vector is proportional to the speed of the dust particle. For example, if I have a very lengthy wind direction, then it means the wind is blowing at 80 kilometers per hour. It's a storm. Okay, if I use a small thing, then it is a breeze. Okay, maybe it is only 20 kilometers per hour. Okay, this is the idea. Okay, so wind is represented from which direction it is blowing, from north to south, something like that. Okay, east to west. This direction and the length we are representing as some meaning here, right? It depicts the speed and the direction. So with the length we are able to give the proportion of the speed of the dust particle that comes along. A vector does not have a position. You cannot ask where. It doesn't talk about the position. It is everywhere. Okay, you cannot say which point the wind is blowing. The wind is everywhere blowing in that area. Okay, so it does not talk about position. Vector is about only direction. Which direction it is blowing. We don't talk about which area. Okay, the picture shows several arrows that represent the flood of light coming from the sun. But the arrows could have been drawn anywhere as long as their direction and length was same. So there is no position. This is only direction. Okay. Do you suspect that a computer graphics program needs to represent light intensity and direction? Let us find it out. Besides that, you should know where we use vectors for. Let us find it out where we use vectors. Why should we bother about direction, length, intensity, etc.? Why need vectors? Right? This is always the question in our mind. We will find the answer now.
Yes, we need vectors used in the purposes in the 3D computer graphics.
here we talk about how to represent vector. And what is it used for, right? We all play games, right?
Yes.
That is called the graphics program. That graphics program, do you know how they get these pictures involved? That is the trick. Vectors algebra alone helps them, okay? How the programs manipulate the pictures into give a life's shape and motion, okay? This is, and as you fear, everything in computer graphics is done with numbers. Now let us look at the picture with that idea in mind, as though we are graphic programmers, okay? How we can make a graph out of this. Let us draw a coordinate frame to the lines that we saw in the previous picture. Here is the x axis,
y-axis and the z-axis.
z or z axis, anything is fine. Here. Vector is represented with the
Column matrix.
as of points, okay? It is somewhat confusing that both points and vectors are represented with the same thing. You know what is a point? Point is just a position, right?
Of the vector at the origin, and then just read out the x, y, z values at the tip.
That is the trick here, okay? That's why we use this x, y, z axis. Okay, here is the question of this session.
Try to do this with the picture. For the arrows in the picture, how many feet in the x direction is the tip from the tail? Do you know? And then the next question, how many feet in the y direction is the tip from the tail? And then the next question, how many feet in the z direction is the tip from the tail? Come on, answer me. Will we go to the next?
Shall we go?
Yes.
Sure.
Here the answer. A good answer might be, it is hard to do anything but guess. My guess are for the arrows in the picture. How many feet in the x direction is the tip from the tail? Yes, absolutely. 3 feet. Very good. And then the next question is answer. How many feet in the y direction is the tip from the tail? -4 feet. Yes, that's correct.
This is what they are talking about, right? So how far it is here and how far it is there. Okay, this is just a guess.
Yes, and then the third answer, how many feet in the z direction is the tip from the tail? -3 feet. Yes, it's a negative point. And then
with this, let us come to the vectors and frames. We are going to build a frame with the help of the vectors. So the vector that gives the intensity and the direction of sunlight in the picture is 3, -4 and -3.
this is the point which x is the 3 and the y is the -4 and the z is the -3.
What are the 3 things? 3 is
The distance of the vector from the tip from the x-axis.
Okay, that is called
the intensity and the direction of the sunlight.
Okay, both the things of sunlight in the picture. Okay, so this is represented in 3 times. Okay, 3 -4, some number they came up with.